Good morning. This is David Bennett, and this is Bitcoin And, a podcast where I try to find the edge effect between the worlds of Bitcoin, gaming, permaculture, podcasting, and education to gain a better understanding of all. Edge effect is a concept from ecology describing a greater diversity of life where the edges of two systems overlap. While species from either system can be found at the edge, it is important to note there are species in the overlap that exist in neither system, and that is what I seek to uncover. So join me in discovering the variety of things being created as Bitcoin rubs up against other systems.
It is 10:17 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. It's the 6th day of September 2024, and this is episode, I just had it, I think it's 648. Is it? Yeah. No, 648, my ass. 948. We're damn near to 50 away from the 1,000th show of the Bitcoin And podcast. Wow, man, that's a hell of a run, right? So, what do we got? Durov has made a statement. Durov is the Telegram's founder, and we've got a little bit more than that going on with the with Durov. We got a couple of things to talk about with Durov. I'm going to talk a little bit about one of Ripple co-founder, because you need to know what side of the fence the people that do the whole Ripple thing. You need to know what side of the fence that they are truly sitting on. You don't want to have anything to do with these guys, and you don't want to have anything to do with Ripple either. Jobs numbers came in. You might have noticed that there's a bit of a red dildo going on. Well, we'll talk a little bit about that. There's also a couple of things that I want to talk about. Actually, there's at least one thing that I want to talk about with the Fed's Waller. He had a Q&A, and he made a statement that I think is rather chilling when you read it more than once. And then we'll do a little bit of market stuff, and then we're going to talk a bit about the Tornado Cash court case that's going on, because they're railroading these poor dudes from Tornado Cash. And then I want to get into a little bit of Reply Guy. But first, Durov has announced that he is disabling personal geolocation from Telegram. And I guess he can do that because he's, I guess, out on bail. Vince Quill, Cointelegraph, let's crank this son of a bitch up. Telegram founder Pavel Durov revealed that Telegram is cutting certain features from the platform, including media uploads to the platform's Telegraph blog and disabling the People Nearby feature in a September 6th announcement. Durov told his followers that media uploads to the blogging platform were misused by malicious actors, explaining that the vast majority of the Telegram community was not abusing these features. However, Durov made it clear that the 0.001% involved in illicit activities pose a disproportionate risk to the vast majority of law-abiding users on Telegram. The Telegram co-founder also announced that the individual geolocation tracking would be ditched for a businesses nearby option. Durov likewise claimed that this personal geolocation feature was only used by a tiny minority of Telegram users. Okay, so I guess that means that you had to turn it on and that it was off by default. Let's hope that that is indeed the case. Quote, this year, we're committed to turning moderation on Telegram from an area of criticism into one of praise, Durov concluded. Pausing for effect. Let's read that again. This year, we are committed to turning moderation on Telegram from an area of criticism into one of praise. I'm going to tell you right now, they got to him. They got to him. We all know how they got to him. But if there's any question in your mind that he is uncompromised, that should be swept under the rug right now. And I'm not saying anything bad about him. He's a human being. He has a life to live. He has billions of dollars. He has a lot to lose. But make no mistake, they have successfully compromised Durov. French prosecutors have alleged that the Telegram founder and the platform were complicit in the spread of course, child pornography by not enforcing stricter content moderation policies. On August 28, 2024, French authorities charged Durov with money laundering, criminal association, and providing cryptology services without a license. French authorities issued arrest warrants for Pavel Durov and his brother Nikolai in March of 2024. French law enforcement officials claimed that the Telegram founders refused to cooperate with an earlier investigation by failing to identify a specific Telegram user who was allegedly spreading child abuse materials. According to French officials, the probe started after cybercrime investigators from the Paris prosecutor's office uncovered an illicit Telegram chat room, attempting to lure underage girls into the room and exploit them. On September the 5th, Durov broke his silence for the first time since his arrest and took to his Telegram channel to clarify the events since his arrest. And since that time, Telegram has signaled a shift in content moderation policies by changing the language surrounding the moderation of private chats in the Telegram frequently asked questions section and trimming certain features. Okay, so first, I'm not an advocate of illicit materials being exchanged on any platform. But I'm also not an advocate of threatening somebody with their life, their security, their future, their possessions, and everything about them to immediately affect a change that you want to see that I guarantee has nothing to do with child pornography. They don't give a shit. It's like everything else. Hey, do we want to wrap it in terrorism, or do we want to wrap this little gift box with child pornography and child exploitation? It's a meme if you haven't seen it, right? It's a picture like it's a cartoon of Uncle Sam with a box, and he's coming up to like a gift wrapping place, and the other dude's like, do you want this wrapped in child pornography, or do you want it wrapped in, terrorism? Because that's the only two choices the United States government and the rest of the Western governments have. That's it. Is a mind manipulation to get you to think that everybody is a criminal, except, of course, for the United States and Western governments, of which they are all criminals. They should all be put on trial. They should all be drug out in the street and at least tarred and feathered and run out on a rail. I've said it before. I'll say it again. But Durov is fully compromised, and it was very quickly done, which makes me wonder what those discussions were. And I doubt very seriously that we're going to find out anything more when I read you Durov's statement. And this is from his direct telegram. It says, "Thanks everyone for your support and love. Last month I got interviewed by police for 4 days after arriving in Paris. I was told I may be personally responsible for other people's illegal use of Telegram because the French authorities didn't receive responses from Telegram. This was surprising for several reasons. 1. Telegram has an official representative in the European Union that accepts and replies to EU requests. Its email address has been publicly available for anyone in the EU who Googles Telegram EU address for law enforcement." I got to stop there, because even though the way he said it is like, well, all you had to do was Google Telegram EU address for law enforcement there, Mr. Officer. No, that's sort of not the way you do it. What you do is you build and write a memorandum on Telegram stationery, and you give the exact email address and the reason for that email address's existence, and you send it to every authority under the sun. All right? And I'm not saying that because I love the authorities. I just said that I don't. But this, honestly, this is a little bit of sixth grader logic. Oh, well, all you had to do was email Telegram EU address for law enforcement. No. That's not going to wash. Okay. So number 2, the French authorities had numerous ways to reach me to request assistance. As a French citizen, I was a frequent guest at the French consulate in Dubai. A while ago, when asked, I personally helped them establish a hotline with Telegram to deal with the threat of terrorism in France. 3. If a country is unhappy with an internet service, the established practice is to start a legal action against the service itself. Using laws from the pre-smartphone era to charge a CEO with crimes committed by third parties on the platform he manages is a rather misguided approach. Building technology is hard enough as it is. No innovator will ever build new tools if they know they can be personally held responsible for potential abuse of those tools. And in there is the seed of the future. No innovator will ever build new tools if they know they can be personally held responsible for potential abuse of those tools. This is why everybody in Bitcoin, everybody in Lightning, everybody in eCash, everybody in Nostr, everybody in Fedimint, all of this, we jumped the gun of creating companies. Maybe that's what Satoshi was talking about so long ago when Julian Assange and WikiLeaks started accepting donations in Bitcoin. You know, I think that the seed of what was just said by Durov is there. That no longer are we allowed to build tools and have companies if we're going to be thrown in prison and have all our shit taken from us. Which is why it's so incredibly important that free and open source software and freedom technology be done in a way that is not done the way it is now. I mean, how to make money from a thing without having a company. How to get support, financial, honest to God, pay the bills, pay the rent, pay the stuff, buy the food, get the gas. How can we do that without having a company? I think this is a major question that needs to be examined and answered for us to thrive in the rest of this century. Because it is very clear to me that the governments, especially of the Western world, view everybody else in the world as well as their own citizens as criminal and as somebody that they would rather not see walking around. It's sad. I shouldn't be that much of a cynic, but I cannot help it. They are giving me nothing else to look at. Let's continue. Establishing the right balance between privacy and security is not easy. You have to reconcile privacy laws with law enforcement requirements and local laws with EU laws. You have to take into account technological limitations. As a platform, you want to process, or you want your process to be consistent globally, while also ensuring that they are not abused in countries with weak rule of law. We've been committed to engaging with regulators to find the right balance. Yes, we stand by our principles. Our experience is shaped by our mission to protect our users in authoritarian regimes, but we've always been open to dialogue, and sometimes we can't agree with a country's regulator on the right balance between privacy and security, and in those cases, we are ready to leave that country. We've done it many times. When Russia demanded we hand over encryption keys to enable surveillance, we refused, and Telegram got banned in Russia. When Iran demanded we block channels of peaceful protesters, we refused, and Telegram got banned in Iran. We are prepared to leave markets that aren't compatible with our principles, because we're not doing this for money. We're driven by the intention to bring good and defend the basic rights of people, particularly in places where these rights are violated. All of that does not mean Telegram is perfect. Even the fact that authorities could be confused by where to send requests is something that we should improve. But the claims in some media that Telegram is some sort of anarchic paradise are absolutely untrue. We take down millions of harmful posts and channels every day. We publish daily transparency reports. We have direct hotlines with NGOs to process urgent moderation requests faster. However, we hear voices saying that it's not enough. Telegram's abrupt increase in user count to 950 million caused growing pains that made it easier for criminals to abuse our platform. That's why I made it my personal goal to ensure we significantly improve things in this regard. We've already stated that process internally, and I will share more details on our progress with you very soon. Yeah, Andy did. I hope that the events of August will result in making Telegram and the social networking industry as a whole safer and stronger. Thanks again for your love and memes. Man, I mean, there's a lot. Honestly, this is kind of creeping me out. His tone is playful, yet there's sixth grade logic in this whole thing about all they had to do was email or Google how to get a hold of Telegram by EU authorities or whatever it was, right? And this sign off, thanks again for your love and memes. The fuck is this? We're literally talking about the lives of people being absolutely hammered and destroyed because they went to Telegram to figure out how they could communicate with each other in authoritarian regimes. He talks about how he's like perfectly happy to say fuck you and pull out of Russia and pull out of Iran and just, let the authoritarian regimes do what they may. Because we're not in it for the money, but yet we're what? Look, I don't want Durov to go to prison. I don't want him to lose any of his money. I really don't. But no one's taking a stand because no one can. Because we've been lured by money and riches and wealth. It's like for the United States, that shit started in earnest in the very early 1980s with Robin Leach's Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, where they just showed you how much of a schmo you were every single week. How you didn't have the mansion, how you didn't have the jet, how you didn't have all of the stuff that these beautiful people have. And it's not done us any good. Durov, I think, is just a victim of the same shit. He's a billionaire. He doesn't want to lose it, and he will do whatever it takes to keep it. That's the carrot and the stick, all in one. It's not the carrot then the stick. It's the carrot and the stick all at one. The carrot is the fucking stick. This is a carrot that if you get whopped upside the head with, you're going to writhe on the ground like a baby and then go fetal. It's the wealth that we were promised, the wealth that we were shown that we could get, but we don't have, and until you do, you're a schmo, that keeps us under the thumb. That's the real prison. And I'm not saying sell everything and wear sackcloth and go out and hunt squirrels in the forest for the rest of your life. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it is imperative for all of us to start really endeavoring on how to build a system that somehow or another creates wealth for the people that build it, but somehow is completely untraceable, that nobody knows who built it. This goes back to this thing that was said a long time ago by very wealthy people. I don't own anything, but I control everything. You don't really want to own anything because they can take it away from you. Why would you want to when you can simply control a thing? Now, there's a lot of, I just unloaded a lot of baggage on you, and I understand that. And do I have all the answers? Hell no, I don't. But what I've seen after being in Bitcoin for long enough, I started really looking at free and open source software as something that I'd never looked at before, as something vitally important. But you know what really happened to make me really move into that direction? A direction that many other people in this space had already seen, but it hadn't clicked just yet. I saw it as important. I saw it as critical. But the light bulb didn't go off until nostr. And that's when I realized that we can build our way out of this with these freedom tech tools. But it's not enough. We have to figure out a way to build what would be considered in modern times, as in today, brand new legal structures, except that it's not a legal structure. It's a logic structure. I think that that's what it should be. We should be building businesses and companies and have value exchange that has a logical structure, but is not technically something to do with the legal lay of the land, because it is clear that that is being used as a weapon against us. If they don't like what we're doing, they'll just build a new law, and all of a sudden what we've been doing for 10 years is now illegal. Do you see what I'm saying? How do we build something that looks like a company, that we can have a product that is sold that does not look like a company and has no product to sell? I know I'm probably confusing you, but I don't see any other way out except to build our way out. Bitcoin, eCash, Lightning Network, Fedimints, Nostr. I'm missing something. This is a good start. Free and open source software, the extension of what that I just mentioned, the Bitcoin and all that. Free and open source software needs to extend amongst well beyond that. And it has been for decades, and I wasn't seeing what it was doing. Now I can see it plainly. Watching Durov basically roll over after 6 days, or 7, or however, whatever it was that he was arrested in Paris, he rolled over within 2 weeks. And Telegram is no longer going to be what Telegram was. That's all it took. And there's more. Because Ripple's co-founder is among Kamala Harris's new corporate endorsers. CoinDesk, Jesse Hamilton, Chamomile Shumba is writing this one, and I'm not going to read all of it. Ripple co-founder and executive chairman Chris Larson is among the 88 corporate leaders who endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris to be the next United States president in a letter on Friday, revealing potential differences among company leaders. While Larson joined, other high-profile CEOs come from the likes of review site Yelp, cloud storage company Box, social media platform Snapchat's Snap, and more. According to the letter CNBC was first to report on, Ripple and CEO Brad Garlinghouse has targeted prominent Democrats in their campaign contributions. The majority of the company's contributions have gone to pro-crypto super political action committees, or PACs, like the Fair Shake Political Action Committee, which is focused on getting crypto-friendly candidates elected from both major parties. Ripple Labs has been among the chief backers of Fair Shake and its affiliates, giving about $48 million to influence the 2024 elections. While the industry's combined efforts has tried to walk a tightrope between the two major political parties, Ripple's giving has leaned into the Republican side in one key situation: trying to defeat crypto critic Senator Elizabeth Warren. Garlinghouse, the company's CEO, has also reportedly given $50,000 to a super PAC aimed at building a Republican majority in the Senate, according to disclosures to the Federal Elections Commission. So his political sympathies may be at odds with the letter Larson signed, which favors a Democratic administration under Harris. The letter argued that Harris would continue to advance fair and predictable policies that support the rule of law, stability, and a sound business environment. Ripple has been in a protracted fight with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission over accusations that the company violated securities law in its sale of the token XRP. We don't need to know any more here. Chris Larson and Brad Garlinghouse are not diametrically opposed at all. They're not. They're playing both sides of the fence because they know how to do this. That's why they're not in jail. They know how to do this. They know how to buy them off. This is the kind of chicanery that is plaguing, and will continue to plague this industry. And it's not just this industry. It plagues our freedom. It causes people like Durov to be plucked off of his private plane in Paris and then rolled over in a week, to where his platform is not going to look anything like it used to look like. Anybody who was depending on Telegram, you can kiss that shit goodbye. Now, these assholes are putting themselves squarely up the butts of these politicians. And if you don't think it's not going to have an effect, then you're wrong. So this shit now gets worse, and it becomes even more imperative that we build our way out of these people's view to become invisible, but visible only to ourselves. And now Ayn Rand comes back to mind. Galt's Gulch. The whole shield around Galt's Gulch that made it invisible. I don't see any other way out. She saw it in the 50s or 40s or whenever the hell. Was it the 30s? It may have been the 30s when she wrote that shit. But it's somewhere around there. When she's writing Atlas Shrugged, she knew. It was just going to be this shitstorm forever and ever and ever. We have so many talented people in this space. And it's attracting more every day. And they are eschewing riches and fame and glory and whatever. You know, they don't seem to care, because they know if they do care about the legacy world, that their children are going to have to live in one that's even worse than today. And while you think it can't get any worse, believe me, it can. Because you know how many jobs we added? Because the jobs report dropped. We added 142,000 jobs in August. And that likely sets the stage for a 25 basis point rate cut by the Federal Reserve. CoinDesk, Stephen Alfer is writing, U.S. job growth was slightly less than expectations in August, but probably not weak enough to prompt the Federal Reserve to begin its rate cutting cycle later this month with a 50 basis point move, as people want. According to Friday's morning's non-farm payroll report from the government, which we can't trust, by the way, the U.S. added 142,000 jobs in August versus the Economist's forecast for 160,000. And July's 89,000 jobs, which was revised from a previously reported 114,000. Now, the unemployment rate edged down to 4.2%, in line with expectations, and from a 4.3% print in July. Down sizably in the days leading up to the report, the price of Bitcoin rose about 1% to 56,500 in the minutes following the report. The price remains lower by 5% from week ago levels, and now we've seen an even sharper dip. We'll get to that. A check of traditional markets shows U.S. stock index futures trimming early large losses, with the NASDAQ now lower by just 0.5%. And now all these numbers that I'm about to read, which I'm not going to read anymore, they're all out of date by about a couple of hours. So here's the main question. Will the Fed cut 25 or 50 basis points? Always a key data point, the jobs numbers for August had taken on extra importance, given that the Federal Reserve is set to begin cutting rates at its mid-September meeting. That's this month. The conventional thinking believed the U.S. central bank would enter this monetary easing cycle cautiously by lowering its benchmark Fed funds by a mere 25 basis points. The Fed, though, might be swayed by a weak August employment report to instead slash rates a full 50 basis points at that meeting. The headline numbers from this report doesn't appear to make the case for a 50 basis point move. I'm pausing to let you know that's why the markets are in the red today. Everybody wanted 50. Everybody wanted 50, but the jobs report wasn't weak enough. We didn't have enough people in bread lines to make money. We didn't have enough people not going to be able to pay their fucking rent so that we could make some money. So everybody's fleeing to the dollar. This is why. The downward revisions to not just July, but also June are somewhat troublesome, though. Taken together, the 3-month average job growth is just 116,000, and that is sure to come up in the Fed's discussions. See, they're still hoping. They're hoping for it. It's hopium. It's hopium. They're smoking a big old bong of it. A check of the other report details show a somewhat stronger picture, however. Average hourly earnings rose 0.4% in August. In July's On a year-over-year basis, average hourly earnings were higher by 3.8% versus expectations of 3.7 in July's 3.6. Quote, It's a solid, if unspectacular, report that largely confirms the cooling trend in place, wrote economist Joe Bressalis minutes following the release. The details, he said, support a 25 basis point rate cut from the Fed. All right, so that's why everything is freaking red. It's why it's all red. But there's this little note that I caught early this morning when I woke up and I saw that we were going to dump. The Federal Reserve's Waller, at a Q&A, said that the Fed probably waited too long to stop buying MBS as the housing market was on fire. What is MBS? Mortgage-backed securities. You remember 2008? Do you remember 2008? Every institution was buying mortgage-backed securities, like firemen's pension funds and teachers' pension funds and banks and brokerage houses and exchanges and massive institutions. And the banks themselves were so exposed to mortgage-backed securities that the second that shit started to unravel, so did the banks. Now it's the government of the United States, and even the Federal Reserve's own, I think he's the New York chair of the chair of the New York Fed. Even he's like, yeah, we probably waited just a bit too long to stop buying this garbage because the housing market was on fire. They bought into the bullshit just like everybody did in, prior 2008. And now we've got these dismal job numbers, right? All the markets are in the red. Bitcoin is completely correlated to all of it because everybody's running to dollars. Hence why the dollar strengthened to something like 103 on the dollar strength chart. And somebody speculated earlier today that this might have to do still with the yen carry trade being torpedoed on August the 5th, right? Remember we dumped all the way down to 49,000? Do you remember we actually went down to 49,000 on August the 5th on the price of Bitcoin. And then we came right the hell back up to what, like 60, I can't remember what it was, 60 something. It doesn't really matter because we're not there right now. Because everybody is getting out and they're getting into the dollar. Because everybody is terrified. It doesn't matter what market you're in. In fact, let's run the numbers. Oil, energy markets are all down. West Texas Intermediate is down over 2 points to $67.67 a barrel. Brent North Sea is down exactly the same, about 2.14%. It just flipped over, 2.23% to $71.07 a barrel. Natural gas is the only thing making a gain, but not much, just 2/3 of a point to $2.26 per thousand cubic feet. Gasoline is down 1.5, so enjoy your $1.89 a gallon gasoline, even though you're not going to find that price, guaranteed. Gold and silver, all the metal rocks are dying. Well, they're not dying, but they definitely got raked over the coals. Gold is down 0.75 of a point to 25.23. Silver is down 3 points. Platinum is down almost a point. Copper is down 1.6. Palladium is down over 3 points. Ag, is it any better today? No. The only thing that's a winner today is cocoa, 0.06% to the upside. The biggest loser, let's see if I can find it, 3.4% down for coffee. Yay, cheap coffee. Live cattle is down almost a point. Lean hogs are down just over a point. Feeder cattle are down 1.41%. Now the legacy equity market, surely somebody's buying the blood. Nope, they're still bleeding them out because the Dow is down a full point. S&P is down 1.69%. NASDAQ is down 2.5%. The S&P Mini, down 1.25%. What's Bitcoin doing? $53,840 per coin. We have now gone down to a $1.06 trillion market cap, and we can only get 21.5 ounces of shiny metal rocks with that one Bitcoin, of which there are 19,750,342.99 of, and yet fees still remain low. 0.06 BTC on average on a per block basis. How many blocks? But 131. Carrying 262,678 transactions waiting to clear at high priority rates of 4 Satoshis per VByte. Low priorities are 4 Satoshis per VByte. Doesn't make any sense, does it? I saw a spike earlier today. It went all the way up to 8 Satoshis per VByte. So what's selling? Did anybody see? I mean, I've been scanning the news like for the last, I've been bringing you news since I've been home from Colorado, and I look at these markets every single day for you. You know what I haven't seen? I mean, not just the markets, but the news. I haven't seen any at all, in fact, news articles about people putting their Bitcoin back on exchanges. Like, I haven't seen headlines like Bitcoin hodlers rush to put Bitcoin back on exchanges. $100 million inflows per day to Coinbase in Bitcoin. I haven't seen anything like that. Yet, it doesn't seem to be, retail, the people like us that actually use the Bitcoin network. This seems to be all book value. Like exchanges or trades on exchanges of Bitcoin that was already there, but I had seen nothing but Bitcoin coming off exchanges pre-August 5th. And I haven't seen very many stories at all. Actually, like I said, none at all about great gobs of Bitcoin rushing to exchanges. So what the hell's going on? I don't know. If you can tell me, if you've got the intelligence on that, please let me know what that intelligence is, because I'm confused. But, it's okay. It's not like we haven't been here before. We've been in here. Well, I've been here since 2015. I've seen this many, many times. But now that institutions are involved, has a little bit of a different flavor. But maybe you can just get Uncle Jim'd. That was episode 947 of Bitcoin, and Dubrovko with 2,290 sats says, apologies. I am not more timely with my boosts. Fountain probably counts the first day the most heavily. I'll work on that. That's okay, Dubrovko. I appreciate it, though. The federales like to F with Texas. Department of Transportation even made a rule tied to money, go figure, that electronic road signs can't be funny after TxDOT kept becoming viral for their funny quips promoting safe traveling habits. How effing petty can you be? Pretty petty. I'm actually disappointed with TxDOT, but it doesn't surprise me. Dark with 2121 says, awesome episode. Thanks, man. God's Death with 537 says, thank you, sir. No, thank you. The bird. I don't know if that's actually it. It's the bird, and then a whole bunch of underline hashes. 500 says, BlackRock is going to do what you said, but only after they buy up more BTC on the cheap. Jen, sue the government so then they win on both sides. Maybe it's meant then. Then sue the government so then they win on both sides. Good show, by the way. Oh, thanks, dude. I hope this one's as good, too. Anyway, where else? Oh, Hugh Janice with 200 says, shout out to my Mrs. E. Yoon. Love the show. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. S.W. Bratcher says, nothing. He actually says, MasterCard to allow spins from your own wallets in the EU. And I don't know if that was something that I wrote or not, but Dubrovko comes back with another 100. The MasterCard is a good notch in the belt of adoption. With F and F, let me know how that goes. Not sure what that means, Dubrovko. It's probably because my brain cells aren't working all that well. Also, does the new fountain take more phone data? The possibility has kept me from updating. I don't know. I've had fountain on my phone for so long that I can't remember what it takes. I'm not sure, man. Oscar Mary is your guy. On Nostr, just type, @ Oscar and see if Oscar Mary populates. He's the guy behind Fountain. That might be a good question to ask him. Stacy with 100 says, great show. XPLBZX says, I appreciate the 947 shows. Hold on. I appreciate that 947 shows later, there are still zero ads on this show. All right. Well, yeah, I'm trying to do that. Probably because I don't want meetings. I don't know. That's the weather report. Welcome to part 2 of the news that you can use. Only 3, count them, 3 examples of, quote, illicit tornado cash use cited by the United States Treasury in the sanctions case. A Fifth Circuit panel questioned the United States Treasury's classification of Tornado Cash as a corporation, calling its reasoning slippery during oral arguments on Tuesday. Tornado Cash users appealed a Texas federal court's decision upholding the Treasury sanctions. The Treasury sanctioned Tornado Cash after discovering, quote, North Korean hackers used it at least 3 times, out of millions of transactions, to launder hundreds of millions of dollars worth of cryptocurrency. Users argue Tornado Cash is an open source privacy tool and not a sanctionable entity. That's right. Build yourself to invisibility, ladies and gentlemen. The Treasury Department argues it can sanction Tornado Cash, saying the crypto project acts like a corporation rather than ownerless code. Bradley Hinswell-Wood of the United States Department of Justice noted that users own Torn, T-O-R-N, a token similar to corporate stock. That's not a very good sentence. U.S. Circuit Judge Court Engelhardt noted that out of millions of transactions, the agency found only 3 instances of money laundering using Tornado Cash, asking why the existing designations for North Korea were insufficient to achieve the agency's purpose. Reports Law 360, quote, you're a solution in search of an entity in a way, she added. United States Circuit Judge Edith Jones also expressed skepticism of the Treasury's categorization, noting that North Korea could still use the protocol regardless if the sanctions were in place or not. In fact, just earlier this week, there were reports that a hacker entity which stole over $230 million in user assets from an Indian crypto exchange, Wazirix, started to move funds through Tornado Cash in an attempt to obfuscate the trail of funds. Quote, but the 3 transactions that we're talking about are instances where, oh my God, North Korea stole hundreds of millions of dollars of cryptocurrency, DOJ's Hinswell-Wood said, adding that it's important because by sanctioning entities that aid North Korea, their ability to help the rogue state is lessened. Can you smell the bullshit? Can you smell it? U.S. Circuit Judge Don Willett also asked if it mattered that the people who made Tornado Cash made a profit. Plaintiff's representative Canon K. Shumgan, I can't pronounce the name, said anyone making money from Tornado Cash was doing so through a service besides the protocol itself. I'm not sure if I agree with that. Quote, property includes rights like possession and use and enjoyment. None of those rights are implicated here. This application exists on the internet. It's not even controlled in any meaningful way through the Tornado Cash website, he added. Separately from this appeal, the United States government is criminally prosecuting the co-founders of Tornado Cash, Roman Semenov and Roman Storm. Semenov is fighting the charges while Storm remains at large. Another co-founder of Tornado Cash, Alexei Pertsev, has already been sentenced into a 64 months sentenced to 64 months in the Netherlands and is currently in the process of appealing that decision. In another related case, the United States government also went after the founders of Bitcoin privacy tool Samurai Wallet. The next hearing in the Samurai developers case is expected to take place on September the 17th. All of the Department of Justice's arguments are bullshit. Remember what I was telling you about was either yesterday or the day before? The FBI dropped their warning that North Korea, oh my God, it's always North Korea, is trying to abscond and hack funds out of the Bitcoin exchange-traded funds like Fidelity and ARK and BlackRock. And now here's North Korea. It's North Korea. I'm surprised that they haven't just done nothing but Russians. That would seem to wash with the theme that the United States has had for, I don't know, since the elections before, actually the 2016 elections. Russia, Russia, Russia. It's a Russian disinformation operation. It's Russia this and Russia that. And now we're just going to use North Korea. Why? I don't know. I wish I did. But this is nothing but bullshit. Every argument here is all bullshit. And if the Texas court, if the fifth, actually it's the court's in Texas, but it's the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, they really need to eviscerate the DOJ on this one. And just, I don't know if they can vacate this thing or not, but they basically need to tell the DOJ to go sit and spin. Go pound sand, brother. But it doesn't matter which way this rolls out. It doesn't, like, if we were to breathe a huge sigh of relief and think that we're all going to be safe because the Fifth Circuit's Court of Appeal tells the DOJ to go pound sand, it won't matter. The only way to get out of this mess is to build our way out of it. I wish I could program. I really wish I do. I wish I could be one of the developers for nostr. I really wish I do. I'd apply for an OpenSats grant or a Human Rights Foundation grant. I would just do that. Because I cannot leave my children in this place. We have to build ourselves the invisibility cloak that we need. We need to build the companies that cannot be seen. We need to build the routes that are blinded. It's not just building nostr and eCash and Bitcoin and Lightning Network. No, it's way more than that. It's entire logic structures that we have to build. What does an invisible company look like? How do you sell products? How do you pay employees? You can't do it through any of what we have already. There can be no payroll tax. And it's not because, tax is theft. Let's get that clear. But it's not because I want to evade the tax. And it's not because I don't want there to be a tax. This is different. There needs to be no trail at all. Everybody working for company X, or let's say company Y, because X is a destroyed letter because of Elon Musk. Like the retirement accounts. What do those look like in a blinded company? Which doesn't exist, by the way. I mean, the structure I'm talking about doesn't exist. Nobody's ever had to think of it before. Now we better start thinking about how to do this shit. How do we take on completely new identities that do not have a social security number? And what does healthcare look like? What the hell does insurance look like? How do you insure your house? How do you do any of this? And you know what? What we should probably do? We should probably look at how the drug lords of Colombia did their shit. But it won't matter because a lot of them got caught. And I'm not saying I want to be a Colombian drug lord. I don't want to destroy people's lives. I'm not in this to figure out a way to cheat people out of their money or destroy their lives. I am in this to destroy governments of the West at this point. That's a horrible thing to say. I know. You're anti-American. Under what circumstances do you think the United States government is in this for you? What have they done in the last 25 years that is good for you? Do you think they're working for you? Do you think they want to keep you safe? Have they? Have they demonstrated any competency whatsoever that they can do that? And even beyond the competency, have they demonstrated any actual plan that doesn't do something other than take more of your money, more of your time, and more of your good feelings? You know how hard it is for people to be in a good mood nowadays? It's not because this is all an accident. This is because a very small group of people have basically decided about 25 years ago, we've had enough of you people. we don't care about you anymore. We'll say that we do, but we don't, because all of their actions lead me to believe that. It's more than a gut feeling. So I come back to the question: what structures, aside from free and open source software, which I believe is the underpinning of the new technology for where we're going, how do we build on top of that non-technological logic structures that are basically like businesses but cannot be seen by any government in the world, because all of them are corrupt? Every single one of them. I have no respect for a single government, whether they're West, East, South, whatever. Don't give a shit. I automatically assume that they're all corrupt, they are all evil, and they either don't care about you or they actually hate you. This is where I've come to. And it's not because I'm in a bad mood because I got a red dildo. I've seen those before. Okay? I've seen them many, many times. That's not it. But this Durov thing, he rolled over inside of 2 weeks. And Telegram is now destroyed. Well, actually, it will be. You just haven't seen it yet. You haven't seen it yet. But it will be. We're left with the very things that most of the people, that so many people in Bitcoin, that so many other people listen to, refuse. Even Parker Lewis, one of my favorite people in the space, seems to have an attitude of nostr that is just thumbing his nose at it, or turning his nose up at it, and I don't get it. How easy is it to make people roll over? Is it their influence? Is it their billions of dollars in their yacht? Is Michael Saylor possibly going to be absconded with in that same way that Durov just woke up and said, hey, by the way, we're going to strip out all this shit and we are going to moderate the living crap out of you guys from now on because you can't be trusted. Is that what it is? Well, we can soften the mood as we go into this weekend, because God only knows what happens this weekend. I almost have a gut feeling that this entire week, because I told you guys on Tuesday that it was going to be a week of bad news. To hold fast. Don't freak out. If you got to pay a bill, I don't mind that with your Bitcoin. But for those people that are just going you know what, I'm done, I'm out. And you're going to see it. You're going to see that shit in droves. It always happens, right? The people that said that they were strong hands get really weak. And they sell everything. Yeah, don't do that. If you need to make rent, sell a little bit. Keep most of it. Right? If you got to do that, there's no problem with that. I'm not going to look down at you. And even if I did, you can just look up at me and say, fuck you. I don't care about you. But in either event, I told you that this was going to happen, right? So this week, if I was somebody sitting on a boatload of Bitcoin and I really wanted to make more Bitcoin, I would continuously sell, especially after every single one of these reports, which, as we've seen, has happened, which is exactly what I told you was going to happen. And then over the weekend, when the markets aren't open, the people that sold their positions in the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF can't do anything when they see a green candle over the weekend. Do I know that that's going to happen? No, it could go the other way. It could still go south. We could see 52. We could see 50. People are calling for 49. Some asshole out there is calling for 40. I don't know what it's going to do. Right? But if I was the guy that could actually do that kind of shit, had enough Bitcoin that if I throw it on an exchange and I start market selling and start buying it back at the bottom and then market sell some more and then buy it back at that local bottom and then rinse and repeat for the entire week, to the point that by the time you get into Friday, everybody that was going to sell their institutional positions is basically out, and then buy it all back. So it wouldn't surprise me. I'm not going to swear by it, but it would not surprise me. Okay, so let's get into the weekend with a little bit of fun. Reply guy on Nostr. Dude is pissing people off left and right. If you're not on Nostr, why? Bring your talent, bring your thoughts, bring your energy to Nostr. Not to Telegram, which is going to be eviscerated. Not to Twitter, which has already been eviscerated. Not to any of the other legacy media stuff. Bring it to Nostr, because Nostr is more than media. It really is. If you haven't tried it, it doesn't cost you nothing. And you will, if you stay around long enough and you experiment long enough and you ask me questions, you can ask me questions on NunyaBidness on Nostr, right? Just look me up, ask me a question. I'll answer, or if I don't know, I'll send you somewhere there is. But one of the things that I love about Nostr is that every once in a while you get these weird things that start occurring, right? And like it's people like maybe like Parker Lewis might say, "See, that's why Nostr will fail." No. So Reply Guy. What is Reply Guy? Reply Guy is a bot that is replying to almost every note that there is. And it says something like, "Good morning from Reply Guy." But what's interesting is that it actually gives the relay that it's coming from, right? So it's like WSS. And for those of you who don't know what Nostr is, relays is the way that we're propagating and storing notes around the Nostr network. All right, so I write a note, I say, "Hi, good morning," and then it goes to like a relay that I'm, or several relays that I'm subscribed to, and they all start with WSS:// like nostr.snort.social. All right, it's like a server. It's just an open server. It's out there. It takes in notes if you're subscribed to it. If it's got, read and write capabilities, it'll save your note, and then it will, like if somebody else is subscribed to that same relay, they'll be able to read that note. The relays start talking to each other, and it takes a while, but the notes start getting propagated around. But this bot has a particular server or a particular relay that it's writing from or writing to and reading from. And it's causing some problems because, like somebody said earlier this morning, the Nostr is almost unusable now. Okay. Yeah, because I write a note and I get a Reply Guy. And it's just this, all it says is GM. And then like exclamation point, couple of emojis, and the relay. Except this. Here's the biggest problem. It's not just one Reply Guy. It's thousands of them. Or at least hundreds at this point. And they all have the same emblem, right? The same PFP, your profile picture. It's the same one. It's like Reply Guy, and it's like blue and yellow, right? But they all have different npubs. And now I'm starting to see multiple different relays that these npubs, these Reply Guy npubs, are coming from. And they're replying like, I can write a note, and I'll get 15 different npub Reply Guys all saying, "Good morning," emoji, 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 and then whatever relay that they're writing from. And this has caused consternation. It started happening yesterday. So like that way, when you write a note and 15 to 25 different Reply Guys, reply to it, you think your note got like, "Oh my God, look at this. I got 25 replies," but only one of them is from a human. You can see how that might piss some people off. You can see why somebody like, I don't know, Parker Lewis might say, "See, that's why Nostr is going to be unusable." Now, before I tell you what I think is happening, I want to take you back the way Sherman set the Wayback Machine for like 4 months ago. I was getting followed by a new account, like several new accounts. It just started happening one day. And for about 2 months, I would write something like a note, and then like I'd go away and I'd come back to my notifications and I'd see that, a whole bunch of people hearted my or thumbed up my note. But what I was really noticing was the fact that I was getting like 55 followers a day. Sometimes I would get as many as 100 followers a day. Most of the time, however, it was like between 5 and 10. But the PFP, remember I told you that the Reply Guy PFP is like this little robot looking thing. It's blue and yellow or whatever it is. This one was a whole bunch of concentric circles of different colors, actually of two different colors. It was like red and yellow or orange and yellow or something like that. But they had it to where like there was like 5 circles and they would all be broken like a little gap in the circle, and they'd all be rotated in a different position. And each one of those was a different npub, but it was relentless I think I gained like 400 followers, if not a couple. Actually, I probably gained more like 3,000 followers off this thing. They're all fake, right? They're all like, it's a bot. And it's just this, it's not a bot. These are all bots. But these bots are being constructed autonomously by some kind of automated computer program or something like that, script, right? It's just like a script kiddie. And it's annoying when you get all these followers and you think, oh, wow, I get people are listening to what I say. And then it's just garbage, right? Well, it went on for about 2 full months and then it just stopped. And I've never seen him again, ever. And now we have this reply guy. He's not following anybody, but he's liking all the posts and they, because there's hundreds of them now. They like all the posts and then they say good morning. And then they reply to the post saying good morning, emoji, 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 and then whatever its relay is. So this has prompted several people to hold on. I'm looking at something here. So actually, wait. Yeah, I'm not going to do that one. So I'm about here. Here's my thought of what this is. Now, keep in mind both these stories. A bunch of fake npubs interacting with real human accounts, making life kind of miserable. Reply guy is actually more miserable than the follow guy, the guy that happened about 4 months ago. So I wrote a note on nostr earlier this morning that said, hear me out. Reply guy is a developer antagonizing nostr so they can see how to fix it. Hashtag adversarial thinking is back? ? That's what I thought. That was my gut feeling with the follow bots. Now with the reply guy bots, I'm thinking the same thing. I'm thinking that there is a nostr developer out there that is savaging the nostr network, and that developer is indeed savaging the network. This is a lot of wasted data. It's all crap. It doesn't mean anything. It's all bullshit, and it's dust. It's noise. We don't need it. And yet I believe that the developer that is doing this because the developer loves nostr and is trying to figure out ways to break nostr so that other developers, including the developer himself or herself, can fix it against state actors or institutional actors or people like Elon Musk's. How do we screw with these guys so that we can have Twitter and we can be the town square forever and ever and nostr will just die? That's what I believe is happening. I think they're actually doing it out of love for the network. So please, instead of antagonizing the reply guy thing, think about what I was saying when we have to build ourselves out of these situations. It starts right here with reply guy. How do we guard against that shit happening and keep the platform open? And make it to where if somebody I'm not even going to give a name, just some major developer in nostr is picked off a plane in, London and said, hey, you're going to fix nostr the way we want, and have that developer say, I don't know what to do. I can't help you on that, because they can't. And meanwhile, we're down here in the trenches thinking about how do we stop reply guy without stopping me posting a picture of my cat. These are the ways that we build our way out, and everybody can do this. You can think about, given what you know about how things work, what would you do? And maybe, just maybe, give that idea to a developer. So when stuff like reply guy happens, don't fret. Don't freak out. Use it as a way to help build ourselves an invisibility cloak against those people that are truly brutal to us. You do that over the weekend, and I will see you on the other side.
This has been Bitcoin and I'm your host, David Bennett. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and hope to see you again real soon. Have a great day.